Hello, Mark here from Present Day Production in the most awful sounding room known to man. So let me tell you what's going on. So myself and James decided after the UK's announcement at the beginning of the week to do the responsible thing and work at home as much as possible. Now I'm in the fortunate position that I could just hop in a vehicle and drive to the studio, which is 15 minutes away, and go and shut myself in there and carry on working and not actually come into contact with anyone. But I don't want to do that. Whilst I think that's fine, you know, health-wise, I'm not going to be spreading anything. Hopefully I'm not going to be contracting anything. It's just going to be me. I don't want to do that because I don't want the neighbours to see me going in and out all the time and thinking, well, if it's all right for him, it's all right for me. And, you know, I just want to kind of do the responsible thing and stay at home as much as is humanly possible. So here I am in the spare bedroom in my house, which I've cleared out, and it sounds appalling. The walls are made of brick, so no bass is really escaping. All the acoustic energy is being trapped in the room. The room is square, which is absolutely the worst shape for a room. But I'm fortunate to have a studio that I've built up over the last however many years, and it's properly acoustically treated and it sounds fantastic. But obviously a lot of you guys and girls haven't got such a luxury. So I thought, well, let's take the spare room, let's get some stuff in. I bought some stuff home yesterday in the van. Let's get some stuff in and let's try and make it sound good enough that we can actually do some serious work, but only using stuff lying around the house. I could go, you know, under normal circumstances, I could go down to the local DIY store and buy a load of rock wool and stuff like that. DIY stores are still open, but I'm not going to do that because that's a little bit irresponsible. I don't think acoustically treating your spare room is exactly an essential task at the moment. So, yeah, let's see what we can do with stuff laying around the house. So job number one, let's get some stuff in and hear how it sounds then. Well, not a bad hour's work. Quite pleased with that. Nice little setup. I haven't worked from home for ages, years and years, so this is really weird. So what problems have we got? Well, we've only really got one problem, and that is the room still sounds awful. So what can we do about that? Let's see what we've got lying around. What a beautiful day. Yes, we have some wood in the van. That's going to come in handy. So, fortunately, got some wood. If you haven't got any wood, which you might not have, and you want to make your room sound better, we'll come up with some other ways around it. But fortunately, I found some wood, so that's good. Got a saw, so that's great. Got a massively overexposed head, but who cares? So that means we can make some acoustic panels. Now, normally what you do is you'd make a wooden frame, and you'd put some rock wool or some sort of thick, dense insulation in there, the solid cavity bat style insulation, and then you'd cover it back and front with fabric to stop fibres escaping and to make it look nice. But we haven't got any rock wool, so we're gonna have to improvise. Or I could take some out the neighbour's roof. No, let's not do that. Let's improvise. So thinking ahead, rock wool is 600mm by 300mm, I think. Is 600mm, is that 2 foot by 4 foot? Whatever, it's 600mm by 300mm. So if I make the wooden panels that size, then in the future we can replace whatever we're going to put in them today with rock wool. Future proof. Hurrah! Let's make some frames. So we've got some very rustic looking wooden panels, and we've got some fabric that I had from a previous studio build, but anything will do. Old bed sheet, something like that. If you can hold it up against your mouth and breathe through it, then it will be good enough acoustically. So any fabric will do. So we're going to cut the fabric and then we're going to attach it to the frame. So I've made 4 appallingly constructed acoustic panels, which aren't acoustic panels at the moment because they're just wooden frames with fabric around them. If you haven't got staple guns and stuff like that, use your imagination, you know, find a way, just cover these with any kind of breathable fabric. And now, yeah, the difficult bit, which is what to put in them. Well, I think I'm going to use these. I've raided the cupboards and I've got lots of kind of old towels. So I'm going to use towels. The thinking behind it being that if I do this, then the room sounds all right. Towels. Towels. So time for a bit of DIY. I'm going to drill some holes in the wall, put some plugs in, get the panels up. I might make some larger ones and make some bass trap type things for the back. Not sure yet. I'll get the 4 I've made up and see how the room sounds. And then we'll take it from there. So I'm going to make a lot of noise. I'm going to make a lot of mess. I nearly said nest then. So I'm going to put you guys in a drawer for a couple of hours and then I'll bring you out when we've finished. So several hours and quite a lot of sweat later, and here we are. And I must say the room is sounding pretty swanky. For a square room, I'm really happy. So what have I done? Well, just basic things really. I've treated the first reflection points. Now the first reflection points are if you've got your speakers in front of you, generally. If you sit in the listening position facing your speakers, ideally you want to get someone to go down the sidewall with a mirror, and at the point at which you can see the speakers in the mirror from your listening position, that's your first reflection point. So you want to put acoustic treatment up either side of the room at your first reflection point. So I've done that with the panels we made earlier, which are just stuffed with towels. The one behind me, which you might be able to see, is lent up on a drawer unit because I ran out of screws and couldn't get them on the on the wall, so that's just lent up against a drawer unit kind of thing, which has spaced it off from the wall a bit. Now if you space acoustic treatment off of the wall, it can be twice as effective, so there's a handy tip for you there. On that side of the room I've done the same thing but with a bookcase. So I've got a bookcase stuffed with books and things, which is helping to absorb the sound. Now there's debate as to whether bookcases are of any value acoustically. I think they are. They're better than a flat wall, certainly. So we've got a bookcase there with a load of books in it. I've brought the bed back into the spare room and I've just put it up on its side against the back wall. So that's soaking up a load of bass end and really kind of drying the room up. I've done nothing at all to the ceiling because I can't. It's just not practical to do that. I haven't got the fixings and stuff to drill into the ceiling or any materials left to do it. But it just goes to show you what you can do with no money and a little bit of imagination. So what could you do if you're in a room like this and it sounds fairly awful? I mean, this room sounds great now. I don't know if I'd want to do sort of commercial mastering in here, but certainly for the demos and things I need to record over the next few weeks, and you know, a mix, I could get 80% there with a mix, and then I can just go down to the studio for the real critical stuff and listen in the room there with the full range monitors and everything, and just kind of, you know, just do that in batches. So I could maybe go down to the studio one day a week and just spend, I don't know, 18, 24 hours there and just, you know, do all the really critical stuff in one batch. But for getting 80% of the way there, this room is now actually sounding great. And I've got a window which is giving me some daylight, which is fantastic. I haven't had daylight for many years. So that's a huge novelty. I'm really enjoying it at the moment, especially with the sun coming through. So anyway, what can you do to your room if you can't get out, which most of us, if we can't get out, we certainly shouldn't be going out unless we absolutely have to at the moment. Well, there's all sorts of things you can do. Basically, if you go around the house, anything absorbent is going to
work as acoustic treatment, even if it's only a temporary measure. Okay, yep, you won't be able to calculate room modes and get rid of them, and you won't be able to make tuned bass traps and stuff like that unless you've got sheet materials and timber and saws and insulation and all that kind of stuff. But just a simple thing like putting a mattress on the back wall and hanging a duvet over it, if it's something like a memory foam mattress, which mine is, then they're great at absorbing the top end and you know, going down into the mid-range. Bass is a bit more of a challenge, so I'm just leaving the door open when I'm working to let as much bass out of the room as possible. A lot of the time I'm working on headphones, so I don't want to upset the neighbours. So everything I'm doing in here is fairly quiet, and a lot of the time I'm basically working on headphones whenever I can, but then it's nice to take the headphones off and sit back and listen to what's coming out the speakers. But you can do all sorts of things. A sofa is great acoustic treatment. If you've got a sofa hanging around, put a sofa at the back of the room. Just, you know, pile up pillows in the corner. I've made today an impromptu bass trap out of bags of compost. I've just stacked some bags of compost up in the corner of the room, and it's just helped dry it up. So whatever you can do, just go around the house, you know, piles of towels. If you shout in it or speak into it and it muffles your voice and you can't hear the sound coming back, then that can work as acoustic treatment. Jumpers, fleeces, coats, yeah, anything like that, just pile them up at the back of the room. Try and get something on the side walls. So what I've done to the side walls today has made a really big difference in terms of me hearing what's coming out of the speakers. So the speakers, I can now hear directly what's coming out of those. It's not bouncing off the walls and you know, clouding the stereo image and going into my ears off the walls. I'm just hearing what's coming directly out the speakers. So I'm actually quite chuffed with my little studio. So there we go. That's today's video. If you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, then please type them in below. Love to answer your questions. You know, if you're struggling with acoustic treatment or stuff like that, or if you want me to give you a virtual tour of the studio and show you what I've set up, then I'm quite happy to do that. But this is I've had a great day's work today. This has been a really productive day. I've just taken the spare room, which sounded awful this morning. I've just piled as much stuff in as I can: mattresses, duvets, bags of compost, you know, bedding, towels. Made some acoustic panels out of some old wood, a bit of fabric and some towels, and they're working really well. Had a great day. Gone from a rubbish sounding room to an actually really okay sounding room in an afternoon. Really pleased. Please leave your comments below and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers. Bye.